आप भी यदि छोड़ देंगे फिर कहाँ जाऊंगा मैं। भव सागर को नाथ कैसे पार कर पाऊंगा मैं। भव सागर को नाथ कैसे पार कर पाऊंगा मैं। हे मेरे गुरुदेव करुणा सिंधु करुणा कीजिए। हे मेरे गुरुदेव करुणा सिंधु करुणा कीजिए। श्रीमद् सद्गुरु सरकार की जय।
कस्तूरी तिलकम ललाट पटले वक्षस्थले कौस्तुभम नासाग्रे वर्मौक्तिकम करतले वेणु करे कंकणम सर्वांगे हरिचंदनम सुललितम कंठे च मुक्तावली गोपास्त्री परिवेष्टितो विजयते गोपाल चूरामणि वसुदेव सुतं देवं कंस चानूरमर्दनम देवकी परमानंदम कृष्णं वंदे जगद्गुरुम कृष्णं वंदे जगद्गुरुम। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरु साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। Reading from Srimad Bhagwat Mahapuran. We have completed 11 sessions and now we are into Canto 4. We have gone through the 31 topics in brief, just given a glimpse of those topics, and we shall continue to study the 4th canto, and some chapters we will take up in some details because Bhagavad Mahapuran is such an ocean and the knowledge appears to be infinitely vast. Before we begin further, let us pay our obeisances to Hari and Guru, our Koti Koti Pranam to the lotus feet of Sri Hari and Sri Guru, our Koti Koti Pranam to Swami Mukundanandji, my humble pranam to each one of you. So, in the Canto 4, we are reading about the lineage of Manuji Maharaj. So, Manuji Maharaj is the son of Lord Brahma, and Lord Brahma is the first created being. So, let us recall that God is infinite. He is ajanma, that is unborn. How long has God been there? The answer is from an infinite time. There is no starting point and there is no end point. So it is eternal, endless. That is the entity of the Lord. And his creations are also infinitely vast and eternal. But there is a material energy of God, which is called Maya. And the creation which is made out of the Maya, the material energy, that energy is infinite. The Maya Shakti, the Maya energy itself is eternal and infinite. But the material creation that it creates is temporary. So God transforms into Chaturvyu, which we have discussed, and then the Chaturvyu transforms into Mahavishnu, and from Mahavishnu, universes are emanating all the time, being created and being destroyed. So we are talking about one such universe in which we live. So this is the universe of Chaturmukhi Brahma, who is our forefather. So he emanates from the lotus flower coming out of the navel of Garbhodakshai Vishnu. And then Lord Brahma begins the process of creation inspired by the Supreme Lord, because he himself does not understand the purpose of his creation. So he sits in meditation, and then the Lord gives him the knowledge. He calls him into the Vishnu Lok, where he sees the abode of Vishnu, and the Lord imparts to him the knowledge of Bhagwat, which is the story of God. So the knowledge of Bhagwat is described in Chatushloki Bhagwat. There are 4 verses. And in those 4 verses, it appears all the knowledge has been packed. Those 4 verses are so important that no matter how many times we go through them, it is so transcendently blissful. For example, the first verse says, Ahame vas samavagre nanyad yat sadsat param paschadaham yat tach so avashishyati so asmi aham. So the first verse says, before the creation, I was there. During the creation, it is my manifestation. And after the creation, whatever remains is me. That is the meaning of the first line. Isn't it very profound? That Lord is before creation also, during creation also, and after creation also, when this universe is not there. The second verse is also equally profound. It says, Rite artham yat pratiyeta na pratiyeta chatmani. And it ends with the phrase, Yatha bhaso yatha tamaha. The meaning of the second verse is, like the object appears real, but it is unreal. That means whatever is appearing real, but is actually unreal, and whatever is appearing unreal, but is actually real, the Lord says, consider this to be my Maya, this to be my illusion. The example that he gives is of the reflection in the mirror. So the reflection in the mirror is unreal, not real, but it appears real. And the other example is of the planet Rahu. Rahu is actually there, but it is not visible. It is not appearing. So the Lord gives these examples to illustrate that this is my Mayic energy. This is the illusory power of mine, where whatever is not appears to be real, and whatever is real, we consider unreal. For example, God is there in every atom. God is there within us. And God is eternal. God is permanent. But we don't have the realization that the God is real. He is very much there. But the material world that we see is subject to destruction. This body that we have will also one day destroy. But we cling to it as if it is forever. So this is the second verse. The third verse is about the Vyasti and the Samashti. For example, the Lord says, I am there within you, but I am also not there in you. So the meaning is, for example, our body is made of space. So the space which constitutes our body is a part of the overall space, the Samashti space. The Vyasti space is a part of the Samashti space. So we can say that space is there within us. But we can also say that this space has always been there. It is there everywhere. So it is not there in me also. For example, the waves and the ocean. The waves are in the ocean, but the ocean is not in the wave. So this is the third statement in the Chatushloki Bhagwat, and the fourth statement is, it's about Anvay and Vyatirek, the two process of logic, by which we say this is God, this is God, this is God, this is Brahma, this is Brahma, this is Brahm, but this is not Brahm, this is not Brahm. This kind of logic by which we try to understand God is a process of logic, and by which we can establish that God is omnipresent, omnipotent, omniscient. So if we learn these four steps of knowledge, this Chatushloki Bhagwat says, if we learn this about Atma, the soul, and Paramatma, the super soul, nothing else needs to be learnt. So this is about the Chatushloki Bhagwat, which we read in the second canto. And in the third canto, we read about Devhuti, the daughter of Manuji Maharaj. So we came to Brahmaji, who got this knowledge of Bhagwat, and then the knowledge of Brahmaji was imparted to Naradji, and Naradji imparted the knowledge of Vedavyas, and Vedavyas expanded these four shlokas into 18,000 shlokas and created Srimad Bhagwat Mahapuran, which we are reading. So in the third canto is the story of Devhuti, who is the daughter of Manuji Maharaj. Manuji Maharaj is the personality who is married to Shatrupa, and from there the Mathuni Srishti, the creation based on biological reproduction begins. Before that, all the personalities that were created, they were from the mind of Sri Brahma, like Sanat Kumar, Sanatan Kumar, Sanat Sanandan, Sanat Sanandan, Sanak Sanatan, then Lord Rudra, then Naradji, then 10 rishis, then Kardam Rishi, Prajapatis. All these personalities were the mind-born sons of Brahmaji. The creation based on man and woman started from Manu and Shatrupa, and they had 5 children, Akuti, Prasuti, and Devhuti. We learnt about the story of Devhuti. Devhuti was married to Kardam Rishi, who was born from shadow of Brahmaji. And the union of Devhuti and Kardamji produced a son called Kapil Dev, who is the avatar of God. And Kapil Dev Ji, he imparted all the knowledge to his mother Devhuti, which we briefly studied in the earlier sessions. So in the fourth canto, let us have the chapters displayed. We can briefly say what we have gone through so far. In the canto 4, there are 31 chapters, and it begins with the description of the daughters of Swambhu Manu. And as we mentioned, there are 3 daughters, Akuti, Prasuti, and Devhuti. Devhuti was married to Kardamji, we just mentioned. And Akuti was married to Ruchi Prajapati. And their child was Yajna Bhagwan, who is also an avatar of God and who was married to Dakshina, who is a form of Lakshmi ji. There the story is described very briefly. And then comes the story of Prasuti ji, who is married to Lord Shiv. Who is married to Daksh Prajapati. And their children is Sati, who is married to Lord Shiv. So you can see in the first chapter description of lineages of the daughters of Swayambhu Manu. Then we come across the story that there was a great battle of personality between Lord Shiv and Daksh Prajapati, because Daksh Prajapati felt Lord Shiv did not respect him. So he went on a war path. He insulted him in the assembly of all the sages and other personalities. But Lord Shiva did not react. He just walked away. And this animosity continued to grow. And then Daksh Prajapati organized a yajna in which Lord Shiv, his son-in-law, and the daughter Sati were not invited. But despite not being invited, Sati decided to go to attend the yajna. And there she realized that her husband has again been neglected. There is no offering for him in the yajna. She herself was subjected to all kinds of insulting situations which she could not bear, especially the most importantly the insult to her husband, Lord Shiv. And when she couldn't bear this insult, she decided to immolate herself, and she immolated herself. All this we have already studied. Then in the third chapter, we just discussed, Sati requests Lord Shiv to visit the yajna ceremony, but Lord Shiv does not visit. Sati decides to go, and how she immolates herself. Fifth chapter is the reaction by Lord Shiv, who created Veerbhadra, who went and destroyed the Yagyashala, and his people and him, they killed Daksh Prajapati, also pulled out the eyes of Bhrigu Rishi, who had supported Daksh Prajapati. And then the few years passed, and then Devatas and Brahmaji approached Lord Shiv that please forgive whatever has happened and restore the normalcy. And finally, Lord Shiv revives all these people who were dead and wounded. Daksh Prajapati was also revived, and then they prayed to Lord Shiv. So that is chapter number 7. And then the story moves to the son of Manuji Maharaj. So one of his sons is Uttanpad, the second son is Priyavrat. So Uttanpad had two wives, Suruchi and Suniti. Suruchi's son is Uttam. Suniti's son is Dhruv. Suruchi is more beautiful, so the Lord, so Uttanpad the king, he likes her more. As a result, the son of Suniti gets preference. So he is sitting on the lap of Uttanpad. And Dhruv also comes and wants to sit on the lap of his father, but the mother intervenes and says, no, you cannot sit. If you want to sit on the lap, you have to be dead. You have to be born again in my womb, and then only you can qualify to sit. So Dhrupji feels very much upset, and he goes to his mother. He's only 5 years old, but he is angry like a beaten snake. The mother cannot pacify him. She can only say that this is the reality, but why you are hankering about the position in the material world? Why don't you meditate on the Lord, the Supreme Almighty, and you will get much higher benedictions. So he goes to the forest and he meditates, and Naradji meets him and tells him the process by which he can have the benediction from Lord Almighty, the Supreme. So Lord Vishnu, finally, when Dhrupji's meditation becomes so intense that the entire creation is in great suffocation, because he has has stopped his breathing also. He has developed so much of power. And then Lord Vishnu himself visits Dhrupji Maharaj and he blesses him. He gives him the benedictions. So that is the personality of Dhrupji, who later engages in a battle with the Yaksha. And this is a very long drawn battle in which many Yakshas are killed. And also his brother Uttam gets killed. So all this really grieves Dhrupji. And the battle of Yaksha is stopped by Swayambhu Manu, who comes to pacify Dhrupji and implores to him to stop the war. And then Swayambhu Manu's advices are heard by Dhrupji and the war is stopped. Let's move to the next set of topics. So Dhrupji becomes very much a revered personality, and he is provided boon by everyone. Kubera's boon to Dhrupji and attainment of Vishnu Loka by him. So his departure after all these episodes is very well described, how he is positioned in the divine abode as Dhruv Tara, the pole star. And that pole star, Dhrupji, is in the sky. That pole star is rotating as a fulcrum, and all the different planets, the sun and the moon, rotate around that pole star. That is the position of pole star in which Dhruv Maharaj resides. So now we hear about the lineage of Dhrupji. His son, Vijitaswa, is a very brave person. When Vijitaswa comes later. Dhrupji's son, he is very brave, and in his lineage, one of the prominent kings who is born is called King Ang. And King Ang is a very pious king, and his son is King Vain. But Vain, he is born from the personification of death. His mother comes from that lineage. So that perhaps has the effect that Vain is a very cruel person. When he was a child, he used to throw his friends into the well, and he was such a terrible person. And when he grows up and he becomes the king, he is being very difficult to the citizens, and especially those who do the Vedic rituals and they are engaged in devotion. So all this makes him very much hated by the sages, who take the decision to finish him. And upon his death, his mother preserves the body. And when it is realized that we do need a king for the upkeep of the kingdom, his body is churned and a personality emerges who is King Prithu. Now, King Prithu is the avatar of God, and his avatar is to mitigate the sufferings of the citizens on the earth, because the mother earth has stopped producing the grains and the ingredients for the cows and other cattle so that they can produce milk. So the earth is very much in a terrible situation, and the citizens have become completely starved. So when Prithu Maharaj notices this, he is very upset and he wants to punish Mother Earth. So Mother Earth, who has taken the form of a cow, runs for her life. But King Prithu does not want to spare her. Finally, she cannot run. She stops and she begs for King Prithu to hear her side of the story. And when she narrates her story, King Prithu sympathizes with her, accepts her as the daughter, because she has successfully explained that because of the mistreatment by everyone, her condition has become such that she is unable to produce the grains, the medicines, the fruits, etc. So now it is decided to restore the normal situation. So it is decided to milk the cow, which is in the form, of Mother Earth. So the milking begins with Prithu Maharaj himself milking, and then all the other personalities also milk the cow, and all the grains and the products and the fruits, flowers, everything is produced again. All the minerals and the gold and the silver. That is the story of earth being restored. Also, Mother Earth requests Prithu Maharaj to flatten the ups and downs on the earth to make it more habitable. So that is also a task which Prithu Maharaj successfully carries out. And then, if you can go back to the slides, then Prithu Maharaj has completed all his work and it's time for him to depart. So before that, he has conducted hundreds of yajnas, but before he could finish the 100th yajna, Indra was becoming very fearful, so he stole the horse, and how Indra was subdued. And when Prithu Maharaj was very upset, he wanted to kill Indra. Lord Vishnu has appeared and he has advised Prithu Maharaj not to kill Indra, and he has given him instructions. Then we move to the next slide, in which we will learn about the last 11 chapters. Prithu Maharaj is also preached by Sankadik Rishis. Finally, Prithu Maharaj has performed austerities and he has departed to his spiritual abode. Then starts the lineage of King Prithu. So King Prithu's son is a person called Prachin Barhi. Prachin Barhi is a king who has many qualities, but he is overly ritualistic. He is doing yajna after yajna. And yajnas are the Aswamedh yajna and the animal sacrifice yajnas, and he is killing so many animals in the name of performing the yajnas. So Naradji appears and tells him, what is it that you are doing? Look at those animals in the sky. They are all waiting for you to complete your life, and they will avenge the sufferings from you. This is not what you should do. So we should know that Vedas have Karma Kand, and many of us get entangled in the Karma Kand, but Karma Kand is not the ultimate goal of the Vedic literature. The ultimate goal is to develop bhakti, is to surrender to the Lord. The Karma Kand is a starting point because not everyone will get attracted to the bhakti marg. So before they come to the bhakti marg, at least to keep them engaged in the devotion, in the spiritual practice, the Karma Kand is provided in the Vedas. But that's not the means. That's just a starting point. King Prachin Barhi admits his flaws, and he says, how I wish I was taught this earlier by my mentors and philosophers and teachers. They never taught me this. They only taught me Karma Kand. So that is the story of Prachin Barhi. Now Prachin Barhi has 10 sons. They are called Prachetas. These Prachetas are very much spiritually elevated, and they are advised by their father, Prachin Barhi, to get married. They say, before we get married, we want to do the austerities, the tapasya. So they set out to do tapasya inside the water. They were very elevated souls. So they are on their way to the reservoir, which looks like an ocean. There they will do the tapasya, but on the way, they meet Lord Rudra. That is the form of Lord Shiv. And Lord Shiv meets them very affectionately, Lord Shiv tells them that he knows who they are and why they are going into the reservoir, and Lord Shiv narrates the entire knowledge in the form of Rudra Geet, which is very famous. We will read some of the parts. So this Rudra Geet is the knowledge which Lord Shiv has received from Lord Brahma, and this contains all the knowledge which is there. Having received this knowledge, the Prachetas enter the water. They meditate for thousands of years. And during this meditation, Lord Vishnu, along with the conveyance Garur, also comes into the water and gives the advices to Prachetas. So Prachetas receive knowledge from Lord Shiv and Lord Vishnu. And finally, when they come out, the earth has got festered with lots of trees and bushes, etc. So Prachetas don't like it. They resent this kind of a growth of the trees, and they have the power to emanate fire from their mouths. So they start burning all those trees, etc. Now, this is very painful for the other side. So Lord Brahma intervenes and pacifies them and says, please don't do that. And finally, a compromise is made. In the meantime, Lord Vishnu had advised that once they finish their austerities, they should marry a woman called Marisha. Now, who is Marisha? Marisha is the daughter of Sage Kandu and Pramlocha, who is an Apsara. Once Sage Kandu was meditating, and as is the custom, so to say, Indra sends Pramlocha to disturb Sage Kandu, and in the process, they get married and they have a daughter called Marish. Now, the Apsara, Pramlocha, returns to the heavenly planet, but there is no one to look after the daughter properly. So the trees come to the rescue of the child, the moon comes to the rescue of the child, and this special child, Marish, then grows, and she is the one who gets married to the 10 sons who are called the Prachetas. So those are the last few topics, but in between, a very important and significant topic comes in, that is the story of Puranjan. So who is this King Puranjan? King Puranjan is a person whose friend is Avigyat. And Avigyat advises him not to seek the material pleasure in the way Puranjan is wanting to. But Puranjan doesn't listen to his friend Avigyat, and he sets out to search for his happiness. And he comes into the city of 9 gates, the Navadwar, which is very attractive for him. And to his great delight, he finds a woman called Puranjini, who is guarded by a serpent which has 5 hoods. She is also having a lieutenant, Senapati, and also 10 soldiers. And those soldiers have also got their own families. So this woman is also looking for a husband, a partner, and they get married. And they start living in this city for many, many years, and hundreds of children are produced. And they get attached to each other so much. Now, the time passes, and then King Puranjan is attacked by a Yavan Raj, the king of Yavans, called Chandaveg. And Chandaveg is accompanied by a lady called Kalkanya, and they finally kill him. Upon death, because King Puranjan was so much attached to Puranjini, he assumes the body of a lady, and now his name is Vaidarbhi. And she gets married in this new form to a king called Maladhwaj, all that is described in this story called Puranjanopakhyayan, which is narrated by Narad Ji to King Prachin Barhi to tell him about the defects of material attachment. So this is an allegorical study, allegorical story, which is only to provide the knowledge to Prachin Barhi. So Prachin Barhi is asking, Narad Ji, this story is so profound and complex. Can you please give the interpretation? So the interpretation of the story is this: King Puranjan is none other than every human like us who are attached to the material world. The wife Puranjani is the intellect. So we become wedded to our own intellect, and whatever the intellect does, says, we do. So in the story, it is said that when Puranjani was taking wine, Puranjan also would take wine. When Puranjani was singing, Puranjan would also sing. When Puranjani was laughing, Puranjan would also laugh. All this is described. And the lady Puranjani, who was guarded by this serpent, that serpent is the Pran Vayu, Pran, Apan, Udan, Vyan, Saman, the 5 life air, which keeps our energy intact, which is the source of our life force. And the 10 soldiers were the 10 senses, 5 working senses and the 5 knowledge senses: ear, nose, skin, etc. and mouth, feet, reproductive, all these senses, working senses and knowledge senses, karmendriya and gyanendriya, and their sense objects who were their wives. So that is the meaning of the serpent with 5 hood and the 10 senses, those 10 lieutenants. Puranjani is intellect herself, buddhi, and mind is this lieutenant Senapati who is controlling all the 10 senses. In the next life, when Puranjan becomes Vaidarbhi, Avigyat comes to remind her, because her husband is died and she wants to commit sati. So Avigyat comes and advises, hey, do you remember who I am? So he gives the introduction, I am Avigyat. Who is this Avigyat? Avigyat is Paramatma, the God who is seated in our heart. He is always inspiring us to take us to the spiritual path, but we are so much determined not to do so. So this in a nutshell is the topics from chapter 4. If we can see the next slide, please. So yeah. So this is what you can see if you can go 1 or 2 slides above. Yes. So Puranjan is the jeev, the soul, which develops various bodies for itself: 1-legged, 2-legged, 3-legged, many-legged. We are 2-legged. Avigyat is the friend of the jeev. Puranjani is the beautiful woman, is buddhi or avidya, the intellect. 10 servants are the 10 senses. Each servant has 100 wives. Sorry, I just said 10. They have hundreds of wives, which are all different sense objects. Like we have the movies, the internet, the music, the dance, and the clubs. These are so many sense objects. So those wives of the servants represent the sense objects. Next. 1 gatekeeper serpent with 5 hoods to protect Puranjani from all sides are the 5 pranas. The 11th warrior is the mind, the controller of 10 senses. Panchal Desh is the country representing 5 Tanmatra, in which the city where 9 gates are situated. Chandveg, the king of Gandharvas, is the Samvatsar, the time. So Chandveg is the death, the time in the form of Kal. And the 360 Gandharvas under Chandveg and their wives are the days and night, because the king Chandveg was accompanied by 360 Gandharvas, and they are the days and the nights, Gandharvas and Gandharvis. Next. Kalkanya, the woman, is the old age which no man wants. Kalkanya wanted to get married, but nobody wants to marry because nobody wants to embrace the old age. So Yavan Raj, who was representing death, accepted Kalkanya as a sister. Then there are two more personalities, Adi, miseries of the mind, and Vyadhi, bodily diseases. They are the foot soldiers who inflict pain to the jivas. They were also in the company of Yavan Raj and Kalkanya. And Prajwar is the brother with two types of fever, heat and cold, that cause the death. So the death, Yavan Raj with Kalkanya as the old age, with Adi and Vyadhi, the mental miseries and the bodily miseries, and Prajwar is the fever which will finally kill the person. They form a team. And finally, the last slide is the Chatushloki Bhagwat, which was the context I narrated in the beginning. So let us read it as the takeaway. Ahameva samevagre nanyad yat sad sat param paschadaham yadatte cha yo avshishyeta so smeham rite artham yat pratiyeta na pratiyeta chatmani tad vidyadayatmano mayam yatha abhaso yatha tama yatha muhyanti bhutani भूतेस्व भूतेश्वा वचेष्वनु प्रविष्टान्य प्रविष्टानि तथा तेषु न तेष्वहम् यतावदेव जिज्ञास्यं तत्व जिज्ञासुनात्मनः अन्य व्यतिरेकाभ्याम यत् स्यात् सर्वत्र सर्वदा. Meaning, God says, I was even before this world originated. I am at present, and even after this world ends, only I will remain there. I am timeless, none other. What seems there to be real, but in fact, there is nothing. For example, image in a mirror. And even though there seems to be nothing, but it is really there. For example, Rahu in the sky, such illusions are my Maya. Since everything is made up of myself, so I am inside them. But since they are something, I am also not inside them. This is the philosophy of Dvait and Advait. A person in search of truth must only know that through the way of proof by Anvay method or through Vyatirek, I am there at all places and at all times. Now, considering the time constraint, the other slides we can skip. They can be sent to the WhatsApp group and others can read them on their own, because I think we are already at the completion for the discussion. So over to Sri Vijay and Sri Vikash for the rest of the activities.
So I would like to request everyone, if you have any question or any comments you want to discuss, or if you have gone through the Bhagavad in last classes, if any query, so start with Smita ji. और
हेलो
शीला
हेलो नमस्ते
Yes.
भैया।
नमस्ते, राधे राधे।
सबको बहुत बहुत नमस्कार। आज का जो वृतांत था वो काफी जटिल लगा मुझे। इतने सारे नाम और इतने सारे लोग अ, थे कि मुझे तो याद भी नहीं है सबका नाम, अभी अभी सुना है। फिर भी आपने इस वृतांत को पूर्ण करने के लिए शायद सभी का नाम लिया, लेकिन हमारे लिए स्मरण करना तो मुश्किल है। और दूसरी तरफ एक चीज, वेट फॉर अ व्हाइल, दूसरी तरफ जो मुझे लगा, जो आपने समझाया कि जो भी ये सारे व्यक्तित्व आए बीच में, वो सब बेसिकली हम ह्यूमंस को डिस्क्राइब करते हैं, जो इन सारे भौतिक सुखों की चाहत रखते हैं और जो हमारा परम उद्देश्य है भगवान को याद करना और भगवान की भक्ति में लीन होना, उससे विमुख होकर हम सिर्फ सांसारिक कार्यों में बंधे रहते हैं। तो वो सारी चीजें जो आपने बताई वो बहुत ही अच्छी हैं, ताकि हम अपना सारा ध्यान सिर्फ सांसारिक कार्यों में ना लगाएं, उसका कुछ प्रतिशत भी भगवान को समर्पित करें। और हर बार की तरह आज भी बहुत ही मनोरंजक और बहुत रुचिकर और आनंददायक था। हाँ, लेकिन जो सबसे शुरू में आप बोलते हैं ना संस्कृत में भगवान को स्मरण करते हुए जो श्लोक, वो उसकी बात ही कुछ अलग होती है। वो बिल्कुल शुरुआत में ही हम लोगों को पूर्ण रूपे जोड़ देता है। तो उसका एक बार अर्थ मैं चाहूंगी कि आप हम लोगों को थोड़ा सा समय देकर समझा दें। जो भी आप सबसे शुरू में संस्कृत में पाठ करते हैं भगवान का जो प्रार्थना होती है, वो मैं चाहूंगी कि एक बार आप एक्सप्लेन करें, ताकि हम लोग शब्द 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 उसको समझ सकें और वो प्रेयर एकदम मन में बैठ जाए।
Thank you, Smita ji. As usual, you are always full of passion and such loving devotion in your endeavors to absorb the knowledge. Quite admittedly, today's session is about this complex story about Puranjan and Puranjini. And it took me, I don't know how many years to get to this level, to remember some names. I mean, the story of Bhagavad is such that if somebody can understand a little bit of it, it is a great achievement. And if someone can understand at an advanced level, then he is a very special candidate. So, of course, it will take time before we can learn the names, etc. But the message is very simple. It is all about devotion. So, the first, the mantra with which we begin the session, which is Kasturi, Kasturi Tilakam Lalat Patle Vakshastale Kastubham Nasagre Varmoktikam Kartale Venu Kare Kankanam. So it is all about the adornments of Sri Krishna. Kasturi Tilakam Lalata Patle. On his forehead there is Kasturi Tilak. Kastub Mani Vakshasthale Kastubham. On his chest is the Kastub Mani, the symbol. Similarly, all the paraphernalia, the garland which he is wearing, how he is loved by the gopis, all those qualities are described. It's a very simple slok. If you Google Kasturi Tilkam Lalat Patle, you will get 1 million results. Thank you so much for creating a very beautiful sentiment by your outpouring of devotional emotion. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sheila Didi.
Radhe Radhe Bhaiya, what I wanted to find out, Tanmatra and Vyatirek, I don't understand those at all. So if you could, if you have time today, if not, we can do it another time, whichever you prefer.
Okay, so you are basically talking about Anvay and Vyatirek. Tanmatra, I'm sure you know, there are Panch Tanmatra, the 5 sense perceptions, like the form, the touch, the smell, the taste. These are called Tanmatra.
Okay. Okay, 10 is, Tanmatra means 10 senses. Yeah, fine.
No. Tanmatra means 5 sense perceptions. Panch Tanmatra.
Okay.
Panch Tanmatra is the 5 perceptions I'm talking about. Like the nose is the sense, and the Tanmatra is the smell. Eyes are the sight is the sense, and the Tanmatra is the form. We see the form. Earth is the smell is related to earth, form is related to fire, and touch is related to the air. So this is called Panch Tanmatra. So Panch Tanmatra related to Panch Mahabhut, but what you are asking is about Anvay and Vyatirek.
Vyatirek, yes, please.
Yeah, so Anvay means this is a term used in the logic. You want to establish the truth. So to establish the truth, you create some yardstick and you measure that statement against the yardstick. So first yardstick is, if you have to establish the supremacy of Bhakti Marg, you have to say that Bhakti Marg alone can lead to the ultimate goal of God realization. So this is called process of Anvay. Bhakti Marg alone can reach the destination. And what is Vyatirek? The reverse. Without Bhakti Marg, you can never reach the destination. So this is just a complex term about the logic process. I think if you Google, you will get the more descriptive answers. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Bhaiya. Radhe Radhe.
Thank you, Siraj. Wendy Didi, if you have any question or comment.
Radhe Radhe. I find it all quite overwhelming because I'm not familiar with any of this. And I'm wondering if there's anything else that I could read that would give me more information.
So yes, I mean, actually, I have perhaps been in your presence today first time, so I did not have the knowledge about the background, but surely I think today's subjects are very complex. I should have checked with you, but in other sessions we do talk about simpler subjects, like how this creation has begun, how large is the universe, who is God, what is the position of the soul with God. So perhaps in the next session it will not be so complex, it will be much lesser. But one granth, one scripture is very relevant, is Bhagwat Gita, the Song of God. So if you are familiar with Bhagwat Gita, this is the text you can begin with. But most importantly, we need a teacher, because all this knowledge is not possible without a teacher who has had the knowledge. So we all have to search for a guru, a teacher who can impart this knowledge to us. But we are so delighted to have your presence, and I would request, please continue to be in the session. The topics will be much less complex in the sessions to come in. But do you have any specific comment or a question which we can endeavor to answer?
I think no at the moment.
Right.
And I will pass you the previous
Rajeshji,
recording.
One thing, Wendy is a great devotee of Sri Maharajji. So that's her background, and she's been a long-standing devotee.
So wonderful to know that. And if she is a devotee of Sri Maharajji, all this knowledge which we are talking about is all by the blessing of his preaching. And what is he preaching is that we have to develop the faith in God. And as the faith develops, the knowledge will become easily accessible to us. So since you are connected to Sri Maharajji, then I am actually not qualified to say anything. You just be there in a few more sessions and then see how we are performing. And you can always advise us where we are going a little bit overboard or too much overwhelming. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Sandeep, any question?
Thank you. Radhe Radhe.
You are unmute. We can't hear you.
Hello.
No, it's okay. Yeah.
Actually, sorry, I was not present in few of the session previously because I was in India for 1 month almost. So as of now, no question. I'm just trying to be disciplined to attend the session every Saturday. There are other sessions which happens in between week. I'm not able to attend, but on Saturday I'll be attending and be disciplined and keep on grasping whatever knowledge I get by all your blessings. Thank you.
Anjan Bhaiya, so request you to basically conclude the session.
No, again, wonderful session, Bhaiya. So we all loved it, and how these characters were translated to our imaginary things, like not imaginary, like instead of like how one character is associated with a particular kind of illness or something, and that is so again structurally done. Even the so many names and all, but it was very good session again, and thank you, Bhaiya, for your time.
Thank you very much. So,
could I just say one more thing, Bhaiya, please? Anjan Bhaiya, your pratna was so beautiful. Thank you so much, so much. It was really good. Thank you.
Thank you, Rajesh ji, for
Sorry
taking
for the
time
interruption.
and spending and giving the knowledge to everyone.
Hema ji is there. Does she like to? Thank you,
Yes.
Vikas ji.
Hema ji, you want to add something?
Radhe Radhe everyone, Radhe Radhe Bhaiya. I've sent you 2 links. If you can check that they are the correct knowledge links.
Okay.
And I'll do the revision from there on the Tan Matras and the Panch Matras and the Rudragit.
Thank you very much.
Radhe Radhe.
And I only request that most of the times you all are uploading, you all are sharing the link of the session with the Bhagwat Katha group. But the last week, I think it was not shared. So I would request that please do share the link.
I will share that.
Yeah, so this time when you share both 11 and 12, or you can share 11 since it is ready.
Yeah.
So they get to know that it is uploaded. So thank you all very much, and especially Vikas ji for creating those slides. I know you have been very busy in your transition to the new job. So despite that, you have really done some admirable work by creating these slides and organizing the program along with Sri Vijay and all of you. Thank you so much. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Srimad Sadguru Sarkar ki jai. Jai
Ki jai.
Jai Jai Shri Radhe. Jai Jai
Radhe.
Shri Radhe.
Radhe. Jai Shri Radhe.